During the month of February, our collection will be shared with Black Lives Matter New Hampshire. The mission of BLMNH is to dismantle anti-Blackness, eradicate systemic racism, champion racial equality, combat racial injustices, put an end to police brutality, and advocate for justice for all Black lives in New Hampshire. Please give as you are able by using the QR code on the screen.
You. Hi, everyone. It's time for meditation and prayer. And today's meditation practice is inspired by author and embodiment facilitator Prentice Hemphill. It's titled One More Breath. Everything you think can be served by taking one more breath. Everything you say can be served by taking one more breath. Every interaction you have can be served by taking one more breath. Breath can be how we practice living with the contradictions that exist in us. We can try to reject and avoid these contradictions. We can try to reject and avoid the contradictions in others. But when we breathe, it can allow things to be as they are, letting the contradictions exist, while we intentionally shape what comes next. Loving action and how we treat ourselves and how we treat each other. If you'd like, close your eyes while we focus on our breath. As we grow calm and relaxed, our heartbeats might sync up. A calm and relaxed body is a powerful body. A calm and relaxed body is powerful because it has the power to choose. With our breath and our hearts syncing up, let's try it. Eyes open or closed. Imagine the faces of people you know and love. Maybe they're here with us in this Zoom space. Take a breath and choose to offer a silent welcome. Take a breath and choose to receive welcome. Now let's imagine the people who were here for last week's service, or last month, or last year's, or 100 years ago. All the people who call or have called South Church their own, their home in some way. Let's offer silent welcome. And with one more breath and our hearts now synced up, let's make the powerful choice to welcome those who have not come through the doors of South Church. People who did not feel welcome, have not felt welcome. Those who may have come for a while but couldn't find a way to stay. Those who didn't find access or didn't feel safe. Let's welcome them here. Let's learn to shape a welcome that opens doors for all of us. I have befriended a tree. It's right there, actually. An eastern white pine on the edge of the meadow near my house. We have sort of an agreement, the tree and me, or at least this is the way it has worked out so far. For my part, I visit the tree often. As for the tree, it is always there, and it is always a tree. The Latin name is Pinus strabus, pinus meaning pine, and strabus meaning pine cone. So the tree's name is pine cone tree. A simplicity inside something fancy will always draw me in, and could be another reason the tree and I get along so well. Eastern white pine is by far the largest species of conifer in the part of the world we call ours. Crowns, the highest in the tree line, whorled horizontal branches reaching far from massive dark red and gray trunks. Eastern white pines can live to be 200 years old or older, and when undisturbed, they often do. Of the many white pines at the edges of the meadow, pine cone tree is quietly obvious. Standing a few degrees shy of vertical, either falling away from living or leaning into dying, the tree is a snag. A snag is a thing that can complicate the question of what it means for a tree to be alive. Biologically, a tree lives and dies, but more holistically, trees and forests can be growing, thriving, and dying for a long, long time, sometimes for centuries. This long period of time is called the perimortem, a time when trees can lose limbs and bark and become infused with rot, while the canopies are filled with both live and dead wood. These cavities are used for nests, nurseries, roosting and perching for many animals, feathered and furred, from squirrel to bear. On a smaller, slimier scale, snags attract and harbor insects and essential food for birds and other wildlife. And on an even smaller and even more fantastical scale, these cavities and hollows serve as places for communities of organisms, fungi, microbes, and critters who exponentially increase the life living inside the tree, even as it's dying. And these smallets of contributors break down the biomass to make the soil the actual soil for future growth. It is miraculous. and I found it all to be irresistible. And one day, with curious reverence, I stepped close to the tree and from my tiptoes reached up and into the dark hollow of the snag. It's good to make room in life for the unexpected. What I found, of course, was the hollowing emptiness of the inside of a dying tree. But after the initial thrill, my reaching fingers wrapped around a knot of rough, decaying wood, about the size of a mason jar at the widest and sloping into a dull point. The shape felt like a heart, and reminiscent of holding on to a single detail remaining after a dissolving dream at morning's wake. I sat with the heart in my hands for a little while before slipping it back into the lively, dying tree. After a bit of research, I learned the shape was most likely the point of connection between the trunk and a large branch. The knot of wood loosened from the trunk as rot set in. What I described as a heart would more closely align with a shoulder joint. But it definitely belonged to the body of a lovely tree. There are so many complicated, interesting, and important ways things get stored in the body. Things like sensation, feelings, memories, thoughts, and stories. The body is constantly relating to its environment and surroundings to understand how we belong. My first job was herding goats. And what I learned is that goats will eat your lunch no matter where you hide it or what you pack it in. For a long time, every time I saw a goat, my stomach rumbled with hunger. Prentice Hemphill, whose words were the inspiration for our meditation, writes the practice of embodiment is growing the awareness of the body's felt sensations, habits, and beliefs. How the body learns to be in the world and navigate social contexts and systems. How the things stored in the body get there, and how we come to understand them. I told you about the goats because it isn't often that the story behind my hunger for lunch at the side of a goat is relevant at worship service. Thanks, Joanne. But also because as a girl, I was told that I had no chance of becoming a goat herder. I took that information in as though it was something I should have known already, as though my work was to forget what I wanted to learn, to forget what I wanted. Hemphill continues, our bodies and our lives are much more than we are told in this current moment. Our bodies are much wilder and more wise than we are trained to know. The phrase in this current moment is very complicated. There is so much coming at us, tearing through us, overwhelming us. One of the ways I practice centering myself is by walking. I have been walking a lot. And much of the walking I do is within arm's reach of trees. The connection is one of ease and safety for me. I don't often feel lonely in the forest. Life and an aliveness where we can reach in and wrap our fingers around our deepest dreams, where growth and change welcomes us into the world, the intense process of transformational love. That's what I feel. What will we need? I feel like I've missed a page. What will we need? I'm sorry. What will we need to let go in order for this to happen for all of us? How will we create the soil for a better future? One with more life, more lives, more love growing from it. I did. Zoom steak. I'm sorry. We're all with the trees, right? Walking with the trees. The connection is one of ease and safety. I often don't feel lonely in the forest because I know I am, and I know we all are. part of nature. That feels back on track. Reaching into the dark hollows of that mystery and receiving the gifts of connection comes gently because I am willing to be changed, to learn and grow in relationship. Finding the heart of a tree, receiving it in a way, the experience taught me that at the heart of belonging and inclusion is growth, a growth that welcomes process, transformation, and change. In our current moment, the growth of profit is the pervasive definition of growth. The definition is beneath the language of every day and influences how we are in relationship with ourselves and others. The profit growth that isn't satisfied and is unending, unstoppable, and only about accumulation. When this type of growth is brought into relationship, we risk feeling that the only way to understand difference or contradiction is by control. But growth also means, and always has meant, the growth of living things, of trees, growth that is expansive and can rest, growth that can change and transform, growth that is process, growth that can die. This type of growth is curious and invites courage and longing. This relational type of growth demonstrated by the snag is a growth that builds relationships even as it ends, even as it dies, maybe even to die. Remember all of those tiny, smallest of contributors, those miracles breaking down the tree's biomass to make soil, the actual soil for future growth? I think this might be a lesson of where we are right now. Navigating the intensity of the current moment, it is sometimes hard to center the body, to center the wisdom of the body, to connect and reconnect with what holds us, grounds us, what roots us in the heart of an authentic life. Life and aliveness, where we can all reach in and wrap our fingers around our deepest dreams, where growth and change welcomes us into the work, the intense process of transformational love. What will we need to let go in order for this to happen? How will we create the soil of a better future? One with more life, more lives, more love growing from it. Reverend Ellen, in last week's sermon, shared a list of South Church history, a list from the South Church history, a history of courageous community building in response to past current moments, a history of relational growth and vision making. She shared, this place, South Church, this congregation has a history of standing up for justice, standing against oppression, right from the very start. From at least as far back as the mid-1700s, ministers of this church baptized children born out of wedlock, fed and housed the poor, married enslaved people, baptized enslaved people, much of which was either illegal or unheard of at the time. Later, this congregation supported the schooling of formerly enslaved people when they were finally freed, made contributions to Tuskegee, helped start a local NAACP, and was one of the first places to marry gay couples, long before it was popular, even for UU churches. This history, these stories are stored inside the body of South Church, and so in us too. In this way, we already know what to do. We can grow from what we have learned. We can feel our way through it and build on what we have already practiced.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and on our journeys until we are together again.
As we end our time together, honoring our relationships with ourselves and each other, may we recall what is alive in us, what supports us and roots us and centers us in our body. May we make room for the unexpected. May we reach for mystery. May we live the life we are living. May we embrace the wisdom already inside of us and grow from hearts, miraculous hearts of welcome and love.